What is up, guys? This is Chris with Gyroid 3D, and today I want to give you a quick video. This is going to be 5 things to consider when buying a 3D printer. So if you are getting into 3D printing for the first time, you thought about it, you've heard about it, it's something that interests you, but you're just not sure, you're on the fence, I want to encourage you today to go ahead and get into it. The number one thing I want to stress is if you're thinking about it, let's go ahead and do it, because for me it changed my life. I've been saying that lately. 3D printing changed my life. Like, I was always creative and artistic, and this just took my creativity to the next level. And I wish I would have, well, I don't wish I would have done it sooner, but I'm glad I did it when I did. So let's go ahead and get into it. This is 5 things you should consider when getting into 3D printing. Okay guys, so first of all, I lost my microphone. I lost my camera mic. Things weren't going right today. One of my 3D printers started having issues, and this is a printer that I'm going to recommend today, and it was having issues. But that's what happens with 3D printers sometimes. You have to maintain them, you have to replace parts, and I think what the issue was just a certain brand of filament that I bought was just giving me problems. The temperature for that filament might be specific, and you know, I don't usually dial in specific temperatures. I just wasn't happy with that filament, and so I'm going to return it. And usually I usually don't have any problems with any brands of filament. So today, 5 things you should consider when getting into 3D printing. Number 1, the most important thing is going to be the price. When getting into 3D printing, of course, you know, the price, how much money you have to spend, is going to influence everything. But there are a lot of other things to consider. So along with the price, the next factor would be, how serious are you about 3D printing? So as far as price goes, I can only speak to 3 printers that I've owned in my 3D printing career or lifetime. I've had a CoreXY Endor 3. I've had an Illigu Neptune 3, and I've had a Bamboo Labs P1S. Out of those 3 printers, some of them are older now. The Endor 3 that I have is just an Endor 3. It's a basic. As far as price goes, though, there is still a $300 CoreXY Endor. So CoreXY Endor series, if you're going to get into 3D printing, I'd say the cheapest you're probably going to get a printer for is probably around $300. And that's my first printer was $300. That's a good, you know, I did so much with that first printer. My first Endor 3, I mean, I printed a helmet on it, sliced into 8 parts. I printed from small to decently sized things, and then after about 3 years of 3D printing, I think 3 years, I decided, you know, I need a bigger build plate. So the one thing that made me want to upgrade was a bigger build plate, and that could come with time, you know. So I would recommend, if you want to 3D print on a budget just to see if it's something you like, then I would go with I wouldn't spend more than around $300. Now you're going to spend $300 plus tax, but around $299, $300 is a good price. I'd say if you're buying it for a preteen, somebody that is, you know, young still, I would recommend the Bamboo Labs A1 Mini. Now, the A1 Mini is a Bamboo Labs brand printer, and ultimately, right now, I would recommend Bamboo Labs over everything else. So if money's not an option, money isn't an issue, I would go with the Bamboo Labs P1S. I don't think you really need anything more than a P1S. They have, Bamboo Labs does make bigger build plates, but they're really pricey right now. And so if you want a bigger build plate, I would go with something like a Elegoo Neptune 4. Like I said, I have the 3, but the 4 has extra fans, so it actually allows you to print faster, and it has better cooling. I've never used one, but if I was gonna get about a 400 to $450 machine, I would get Elegoo Neptune 4. It has fast cooling. It has a build plate of about 1 foot by 1 foot, so you could build a full helmet in one print, and that's what I use my Elegoo for. It was to make full-size helmets, and I make all my helmets out of PLA, but I'm learning that ABS material is easier to sand. Now, if you're going to use ABS, you need an enclosed printer, and that's where I would recommend a Bamboo Labs P1S. They do have a P2S now, but they're a little pricier, and I bought my P1S for around, with tax, it came out to about $900, and right now you can get your P1S for about $550. The thing I like about Bamboo Labs is when I got my P1S, I was ready, I was more advanced, I was ready to get the next best thing, and Bamboo Labs advertises that they're user friendly, so I felt like I was going backwards, because I'm like, I don't really need user friendly, I want a quality machine. And that's the good thing about Bamboo Labs. If it's your first printer, it's very user friendly and you're gonna have fun with it. If you're advanced, you're gonna enjoy the advanced perks that it has. Fast printing. In my experience, no printer prints faster than a Bamboo Labs. No printer prints cleaner. And it's also, the P1S is a multicolor system, which I've heard reviews on other multicolor systems, and a lot of them are not good. So I would just go with the P1S. So again, number one, price. How much do you have to spend? Now, if I'm going to just give you my advice, I would say let's just go Bamboo Labs all the way. If you don't have a whole lot to spend, or if your kid's trying to get into 3D printing, or he's a preteen, young, doesn't have a lot of room to display his printer or to a workspace, go with the Bamboo Labs A1 Mini. It's super small build plate. It's probably like 8 by 8, so he can, he or she can make all kinds of stuff and learn 3D printing. Now, if they're young, getting started, don't have a lot of room, but they do want, that they're going to be, this is going to be a long-term thing. They want to start selling. They want to start making bigger, possibly cosplay stuff. But money is an issue. Get a Bamboo Labs A1. I had a Bamboo Labs A1. I returned it because of user error. There's something that I needed to adjust, and I didn't end up doing it. I just a little frustrated with it because I had already had 4 years 3D printing with other machines, and all the other machines are pretty much the same. They're easy to understand, how to maintain, how to fix them. And when I got Bamboo Labs 4 years in, I just really wanted to keep printing. I didn't want to have to learn the new printer, and I should have took the time because it was user error. The A1 is a good machine. It's a bed slinger, which means the nozzle is going to move on one axis and the bed is going to move on the other axis, and that's how it achieves its movement. So it's a very loud printer. It was right outside my bedroom wall, and it kept me up. So from my experience, the Bamboo Labs P1S is the go-to printer. It's an enclosed printer. It's fully enclosed, so you can print in ABS, which is easy to sand. It's not quite big enough for full-size helmets. That's the only thing that I would say bamboo P1S is not really good for, full-size helmets. If you're gonna make your full-size helmets in one piece, get yourself like a Elegoo Neptune 4, and you're gonna make them in PLA, most likely. But from experience, I would like to get a new printer, a Bamboo Labs enclosed printer, so I can make full-size helmets or cosplay in one piece. That way I don't have to glue all the pieces together and line them up, and but ABS is easy to sand. I can make my full-size helmets in one piece in ABS on a bigger printer, but that'll come one day. So I know I'm throwing a lot out there. I'm trying to get this information to you guys quick because I don't want to drag on, but the number one thing to consider when getting a Bamboo Labs P1S is price. I would go with the Bamboo Labs P1S. If you're going to be, this is something that you want to pursue, you're going to be into 3D printing for the long haul, or at least a good 5 years, a P1S is the industry standard, or just Bamboo Labs in general right now is the industry standard. Every other brand is trying to compete with this company, and they're falling short. Nobody's really outdone Bamboo Labs yet, and I'm telling everybody, my first experience, like I said, with them was not great, but it was user error. And even considering that I returned the A1, Bamboo Labs A1, and I got myself a P1S just to upgrade. Let's try another printer that I think I wanted all along, but it was it was expensive. It was $7 something before tax, so it came out to about $900. By this point, I just returned the A1 and I paid the difference, so it was almost like making 2 payments to get a P1S. And I'm so glad, I'm so happy with the P1S. I'm so glad I have it. That's my advice. Get yourself a Bamboo Labs, and since price is a factor, you can go from the Bamboo Labs A1 Mini, the Bamboo Labs A1 that's in the middle as far as build plate size, and actually the P1S has the same build plate size as the A1, but it's enclosed and it's multicolored, so that's another factor. But real quick, how serious are you? And I think I covered that already. So number 2 is, how serious are you? Are you just trying to dabble and try it out, and your kid's showing interest, but he might not stick with it? Get a Bamboo Labs A1 Mini. It's super small, compact. He can learn it and use it right there on like a small desk, and it's really cool because I would love to make things on such a small build plate. You can just actually sit there and watch it happen, and I would go with the Bamboo Labs A1 Mini if you're not sure that your kid, your child, your teen is going to be interested. Now, if you're an adult, I would get the A1 if you're not sure if you're going to stick with it. But ultimately, the A1, the filament sits to the side. They have a multicolor system that sits to the side, so you need to have room for space for like 2 3D printers, because you'll have your A1 and you'll have the the multicolor system next to it. Now there is a thing you can print to mount it above your A1, and that's an option. Just to recap, 5 things to consider when getting into 3D printing. The price. How much money do you have? Look guys, just get any printer, okay? I want you guys to get into 3D printing. It's super fun. It changed my life. Don't make these articulated toys, okay? Find some cool files. Try to get into designing, making your own things. I'm sick of seeing these articulated toys, but if that's what your kid wants to make, I still recommend getting into it, because it's just whatever makes you happy. Number 2, how serious are you? Bamboo Labs offers small entry level, medium size, more advanced, and even more advanced than what I have right now. Workspace, how much room do you have? If you don't have a lot of room, get the A1 Mini. Bamboo Labs has a website called MakerWorld attached to it, and there's so many cool files that you'll have access to. Just owning a Bamboo Labs, you'll have a whole new website of files to choose from that you wouldn't have if you didn't own it. So just being an owner makes you gives you access to those free files. Single color or multicolor. An A1 Mini or an A1 is single color. Actually, A1 does both. The P1S does both, but I have the P1S combo, which comes with the AMS, and I wouldn't get the P1S without the combo. Number 5, things you should consider when getting into 3D printing. Number 5 would be, are you just interested in single color prints or multicolored prints? Again, man, the P1S, Bamboo Labs does it all. Now, okay, let me just say this. I got the idea, okay, I want to do a 5 things to consider, right, when you're getting into 3D printing. And I ended up landing on Bamboo Labs, man. You know, I don't know if this video is even worth doing, because at the end of the day, you know, Bamboo Labs is going to be the answer to all these questions. You know, if you don't have space, there's smaller printers. There's a medium-sized one, and then there's the decently large print bed, which I believe the P1S is like a 10 by 10 print bed, like roughly, you know, give or take. It's about 10 inches by 10 inches, and you can do a lot with that. So if you're interested in 3D printing, I guess this is just a video telling you to get a Bamboo Labs, because it's what I recommend. Again, if you can't get one, if it's too expensive for whatever reason, get whatever printer you can afford and learn that. You'll be happy that you learned another type of printer, like what they call a bed slinger, where the bed moves on one axis and the print bed on another, because the Bamboo Labs is considered a CoreXY printer, which means the build plate only goes up and down, and the print head will go actually left and right, which is X and Y, on the X and Y axis. I find that you get cleaner prints that way, and Bamboo Labs offers a small A1 Mini, an A1, which is a bed slinger, and a P1S, which is on sale right now, and also it's a CoreXY multicolor. You know, it's a sleek, clean design, because it's all in a box, like it's enclosed, so it's nice looking, it's sleek looking. I'm so happy with my Bamboo Labs P1S. I've had to replace, in a year, I've had to replace a nozzle, I've had to replace a fan, I had to replace a sensor that I accidentally broke trying to get a clog, you know, remove a clog. But all that being said, I still, man, Bamboo Labs is just the industry standard now. I'm never going to buy another brand, at least not anytime soon. So if you guys are interested in 3D printing, that's my list of 5 things to consider. So yeah, guys, get yourself a printer, and, you know, join the hobby. So talk to you guys next time. Peace.